And we are live. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is in the world that you are. I'm Kevin Bryant. I'm your host on Kev Talks, and we're talking to a wonderful, magnificent woman, lady, queen, however you want to say, Miss Theresa Merritt-Watson. I want to introduce everybody to you. How are you, Miss Watson?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I know backstage before the show starts, we were having this interesting conversation. But first, I want to let everybody know Miss Watson is the author of Black Tech yesterday, tomorrow, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and tomorrow. Yes, there it is. It's a fascinating book about teaching young kids about our Black history. So first, before we get into this deep conversation, because I love what we were talking about, I want her to tell you a little bit about her, where she's from, and a little bit about the book. You got it.
Well, I am Theresa Merritt-Watson. I am from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've spent my life in several different states, and I have worked with many kids, but particularly the African American kids. We have, so I know there's a lot about them. I have 6 of them, so I know a lot about the African American population. And I've watched, I've tutored, I've engaged, even though my initial background was not a formal um, educational background. I still work with kids in many capacity throughout throughout my life, actually. And I've been tutoring. My kids have tutored. Um, I've had other kids tutor other kids. It have situations where we've had to help families that may be running into maybe food issue or clothes issue or not being able to. I've always been there for to help enrich our community and our children, particularly, and without judgment, because I know sometimes people will run into situations, and it may be Thanksgiving. You can provide the whole meal for them. Nonetheless, I do have a degree in business, also in education, and I'm just recently going into the education component because I wanted to understand what is the dynamics that's impacting the development of our children from an
Mhm.
academic and economic point. So then I started, how can I impact that and to have a profound impact on our community? So what I did is I started writing, and I was writing a book for fourth, fifth, and sixth grade level. However, by the time you get there, there's some things that you should have already embraced in your learning process.
Mhm.
So I revamped that and start writing for kindergarten, well, first is third grade, because when you go to school, actually for the parents, before you leave home, you should be teaching your kids some things about the great things that African American have done in the development of this country.
Right.
But in the event that you don't, when the kids get to school, they should learn some things or know some things about the great things that African Americans have done. And so we have like Gladys West. Gladys West created the GPS system. Everyone knows the GPS. They have it on their phone. They have it in their car. They they have it in other in the airplane. This is something that is so profound that is used in other countries. But when you get in your car, you don't think about Gladys West, but you should. When you roll up on an elevator door and that door open, that's a Alexander Miles created the elevator door opener. But we don't think about what we've done. And this is something that's so profound. It's used all throughout the world again.
Mhm.
And you take a look at Lewis Latimer. Lewis Latimer, he created the filament for the light. And in the past, you just couldn't get it to stay on long enough. Now you got light all over the world because of a black man's invention. You got ice cream. I like ice cream. Ice cream don't like me, but
Uh-oh.
but um, for the refrigerator truck. And back in the day, they used to have to deliver medicine to the hospital, but by noon,
Mhm.
especially in Georgia, by noon the medicine would be no good. So he invented the refrigerator truck. I highlight the fact that in my book that the like Gladys West and other people went to HBCUs, which is historically black colleges, because I want people to become conscious of the fact that we have these black colleges And you could say, I want to donate $5 a month to Hampton. And you just pick out a school out of the 102 schools. And so and then I also highlight, because it's not necessary all the time for people to go to college.
Right.
People develop and become millionaires and quite satisfied with their work. You don't always make money is not the driving factors of happiness in your life, by the way. But like Alexander Miles, he's a self-taught engineer. Frederick Jones is a self-taught mechanical engineer, and Lewis Latimer is a self-taught engineer. And all these people, you look at all three of those people, they have such a profound impact on our life. But we don't know that when we turn on a light switch. And so in this book, I'm hoping that people will get to the point that when they roll up on the elevator, they think about Alexander Miles. And so that's I don't want to just keep talking, but
no,
this is what it meant to me. This is where I am.
Well, I think it's a great thing that you've done, because I want to know why we don't know more about our Black race and all the inventions and all the things that we've added to this economy, to the world. How come you think that is, that we don't really know that?
Well, we used to, back in the day, used to sit and tell stories and things. And so those stories would pass on and pass on. But the connectivity of the African American community to, now this is my theory, and some of it's fact, because, I've read it and it's been proven that it's conveyed. But in my theory, you see the success, and you see the success of Black people growing when we became free. You can look at different townships and different things that we were doing. We were creating environment. We were creating sustainability. You can, even if people only knew about Greenwood, they could see their sustainability. They had their own grocery store. They had their own school. They had their own church. They had their own economy. You could see places in Florida where they had the exact same thing. You could see places in Kansas and North Carolina, all throughout the country. The African Americans were sustaining themselves. They were making leeway. Mm-hmm. Well, you have to, in order for you to disrupt that pattern, something has to transpire.
True.
And so this is what has happened. And so much work has been put into making sure that you are derailed in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so our accountability right now is left in the government hand. You could see the parents removing themselves off their own children.
Right.
We are fighting for things that don't even belong to us, that continue to derail us. I told you earlier, I listened to one of the latest in one of the legislative sessions, talk to people to tell them a man could have a baby. So this is the problem with that, is that your house is on fire and you're trying to save somebody else's house. You got to take care of yourself first. And so I look at this like we have so many things in the civil rights bucket, but that bucket does not really have to have that, because in this system, we're fighting for human rights. Mm-hmm. If we really fight for human rights, everything will fall under that umbrella. And so if you decide to do something, it's a matter of respecting that other person. That's what human rights will do. So, but we have allowed people, we fight and we fight and we fight for things, and we end up nowhere. You can look at that. I can't think of the last civil rights. We fought for voting rights, which is actually a very good thing. But if we had fought for human rights, it would have fallen under the umbrella. You see, and so now it derails us. From now, our kids are out in the streets. They go into third grade, and now we have a system that says, and it's throughout the United States, that says by the time you get in third grade, that is your benchmark for testing. And so when you have this benchmark for testing, by fourth grade, there are some psychologists and researchers and analyzing trying to project how many of these people will be going to prison. And so they'll know how many prison they need to build by the time that level of kids graduate.
Right.
Now, in the bigger scheme of things, if you really, truly are in the success of their kids. For example, like your corporation, if people weren't performing right, you fix it or you get rid of it. That's the way
Ah,
it works,
yeah, no, you're
And so
absolutely
by
correct.
first grade, you know that a kid is not proficient. Fix it.
Mhm.
You got 9 weeks, and you know the kids can't write.
But
Fix it.
do you think that there's a reason why we're not set on fixing the issues that we have, or you think we're just overlooking it because we're focused on something else? Because that is a problem that resonates throughout our race, and I'm just trying to understand for myself too. Why don't we care about the things that we need to fix? Why do we allow outside races to have to fix us, or even just outside races to do what they do, and we fall into their version of what fixing something is? Why? What do you think we can do to better help that?
Well, I don't. I don't think. I think this when the kids go to school, some teachers really don't know what to do with their deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I went to school, when and that's been a long time ago. Well, let's talk about when my kids went to school. When they had some deficiencies, and I think I had a child that did actually have some other issues. Um, I had to really pour my heart and soul in that,
Mm-hmm.
and so that became an issue. But what happens is that we have so many different things that we've learned that impact kids. Um, that we don't know what to do with. But like terminology such as ADHD, other mental illness, other learning deficiencies, we've never heard of some of those terms. And so when somebody come to you and say, this is what you need to do, you adapt to it and you agree to it.
Right.
But I think more it's more materialistic. I think our society as a whole has become greedy, selfish, self-absorbed. We are community type people, and now we develop a sense of individuality. And
Yes.
when you're working on your own individual place, it's hard for you to grow, and
Yes.
so you don't have connectivity that you used to have. And so it's not that, but people are making billions of dollars off of us.
Yes.
We're probably the only race that people are gonna come here and make money, get rich, and refuse to let us grow in certain spaces.
But I
And
think,
so,
yeah, I think it's a type of acceptance that we feel we have to get from outside cultures and races, because, like you said, people, they make $1 billion off of us, billions of dollars off of us. So it's like, why don't we realize how much our value is? We as a race need to start realizing our own value. We need to start realizing that we're the ones that's actually moving things and making changes. But for some reason, we don't realize it for ourselves. We have to depend on this race, this culture, this other thing just to feel like we're accomplishing something. We always look to them to, I guess, accept us or to evaluate us or value us. We should be doing that
well,
amongst ourselves.
well, working as a unit, like if you worked, if I was building a car and you was building a car, and we both are qualified equally, and you take well let me go back a minute. One of the things that we impact, just take a look if you want to think about how we changed from the North Carolina to the Kansas to Florida, how we were able to sustain ourselves and do all these things. What came about to impact where people are interfering? Well, first of all, we couldn't buy a house, we couldn't live anywhere,
Right.
we couldn't um, and even when you were qualified, and you still get some deficiency now because it's been highlighted all over the world that um, you can, if you're a black person with your pictures hanging up, your house is appraised different than than the same house with a white person with and so forth. But we as black people have allowed certain things to go on. We don't fight, like I said, we don't fight the right fight. We fight somebody else's fight all the time. And so we in our community, in the black community, you have the Asian, the Indian, the Italian, running the convenience store around there. So we go and give our money to them every day,
Yes.
and then they take the money back to their community. And so what we're doing, our dollars stay in our community 6 hours.
Yep.
But the Asians it circulates 70 times. I mean, it's just things that we do.
But
And
you know,
we don't stand up, and as long as we don't stand up, we will not have it.
That's true. And what you're saying today is what I hear a lot of our culture, people in our culture say, but no one actually act on it. They, you know, we talk about it, but how much do we do? Like, actually, we're getting comments on IG actually, and I know. Shout out to John. It was saying about redlining in our community. Um, we need to have these type of conversations more, but like you said, we always fight somebody else's fight, but we never fight our own fight. You know, and we're stuck in the same place.
That is true. That is absolutely true. These things that's going on right now is I'm not saying that there are no issues in there, but we could have made this whole thing pivot by insisting on human rights. You don't treat black people the same when they get arrested. You don't treat black people the same. I can go to a Harris Teeter, it's a grocery store, in certain parts of town. They don't sell those little tiny 12-ounce sugar drink. There's, sugar drink because the blue coloring is like a blue-green color sugar drink in certain areas of the town.
Right.
If you're in a high district part of the town, you never see those kind of things.
That's true.
Even down to the food that they serve, that they make available to black people. And so that we don't insist on anything. Well, I won't use the word anything. We very seldom insist and fight for things that are valuable. My whole thing is that when I say I want to make a change and change the trajectory of African American education, I know that those kids are brilliant.
Yes.
I know that. I've worked with them. And in education and economics, that's something I want to do. And so there's a few projects that I said, okay, we got to get these doing. Of course, I did my books and they come out.
Shout out to the book, Black Tech. Hold it one more time. Black Tech, Leaders in Technology. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You guys, please check out her book. She's doing a wonderful thing for the young kids because you got to start early so they'll get it and they'll grow up with it.
Yes, and it's written so that, I'm going to read one passage out of here.
Okay.
And so you take a look at your security system that you have in your house, in the school, everywhere. And so when we think about our security system, we very seldom think about a black woman creating that.
Right.
We, the Zoom that we're on right now and the Miriam Britton Brown, when someone comes to visit, we can see who is outside before letting them in. Miriam Britton Brown, Van Britton Brown invention makes that possible. Then she created the prototype of the closed circuit TV security system known as our home security system.
Wow.
Now, so these are things that we don't think about. The application, the first application was from Basin, and she did that in she was the first one to do that. And the thing that I think that everybody know in the United States is Garrett Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And he created the traffic light. We go to the traffic light, we don't think about a black man actually creating that traffic light. And so these are some of the things that I think that we need to start thinking about. When I take a look at Marion Croak and knowing that this black woman did voice over IP, she created the voice internet over IP so we can make phone calls like we're doing right now.
Exactly.
It was created by a black woman. So you can't denounce the value that we bring to this society.
Right.
But yet and still no one knows it. We have schools where the kids are taking the LSAT, taking the bar in our community, and they're passing it on the first, greater than some of these other schools that we give kudos to. We won't give kudos to our own school.
So let me
You
ask
know,
you, Miss Watson, how did you find out this information? Because clearly it's somewhere. So why so many of us don't know it? How did you get the information that of what we created that no one knows about?
well, I will tell you when when I first went to school, my school was segregated. I technically, I don't, it's not segregated like segregation now, where, the government has so much rule. We had all black teachers, all the black administrators, everything we had was, it was a true segregation. And I actually did not mind it. Right. So I don't tell your audience not to really say anything. I
No,
enjoyed myself.
no, they're
I had
loving
the
this
most
actually.
fun. So, and um, when we segregated, I had a teacher that he made history so interesting, and so he wasn't conforming to what our curriculum said. He wanted us to make sure that we knew some things.
Right.
So he told us one time that Africa, Mr. Exum, Africa is always depicted smaller, and you
Yes.
could have a whole bunch of countries
Yes.
sit in Africa, but anything black, I think he used the word colored, and anything black will be in a smaller frame so people can think lesser of you.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
so, and that just sort of stayed with me every time. And so sometimes um, it made me enter a room like I'm all wherever I go, I feel like I'm supposed to be there
Right.
because God made it possible for me to be there.
Right.
So everywhere I go, I enter the room like I'm supposed to be there. I am not your smaller frame,
That's right.
you know. And so I started taking an interest in that and reading things about history, about where we came from, and some of the things were so profound. It almost some. I remember being in high school and reading some things because of the all the racial tension and everything. I would say, is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I questioning the possibility of black people?
Mm.
And so then as I got older, I just started taking an interest in it. And then I didn't want my kids to not have a black reference base.
Right.
I need my kids to know that every human being breathing air is the same.
That's right.
So there's no one better than you, and you're not better than anyone else. So I want you to enter that space like you're always supposed to be there.
Right. I think
And so
I think a lot of the times um we we're so caught in a system, you should say, a system that we don't even try to branch out and learn other things. So you yourself, you took the opportunity to read other things and see about it. It's so interesting. Someone just commented, I think John Hendrickson. What's up, John? He said black women can get a pass, but many black men get so much pushback. Do you think that's true? Because a lot of times it seems like black women get past a lot of things that black men don't. So we do.
well, I don't know exactly what he means because pushback on what? They get pushback on certain things, and women get pushback on certain things
True.
too. Um, but in general, I feel like people are just bashing men, and I cannot figure
Mm.
it out. Um, I will say that you know there's there's nothing stronger than to me, by the way, than a secure black man.
Mm.
And so when you and a man generally, you know, barring he has no issue, no real issue, um, he really enjoys his position in life, the position that God has put him in life, and unless someone comes by and try to rip him of that dignity,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really see them, creating a lot of havoc because they're very peaceful people. I find men to be very peaceful, and
Yes.
because they're not like the women. That doesn't include. I'm included. That's not like the women that can keep things moving and stirred up and men tend to unite, and they unite in a way that keep harmony within. So I'm not exactly sure exactly what he means, because I find him, maybe because I have three boys. So
Oh, that's a good. You know, my
but
mom had three boys, so I get it. Well, maybe even we have Leah Murray 6. She says men are bashed because of the absent from being the head of household.
mhm.
You know, so is that another thing that you think can kind of like take away or create this bashing men type thing because more women are now head of their household? How do you feel about that?
Well, that's a selected. I'm going to get pushback on this, but in my position, um, women control that factor of them being head of household. They control whether or not they have a baby, and I'm not talking about abortion, because in New York City in 2022, it reported that there were more abortion among Black people, only Black people I'm talking about, than there were live birth. I think men are relaxed now because, first of all, people, and this is why we have so much sex at school, by the way. Kids are in first grade kindergarten, they're posing like they're, sexual positions and things like that. And women are using sex as a weapon to attract men. And men attraction to sex could be very temporarily, because we view sex and things like that different than a man will do. And so this
That's
whole
interesting.
notion of waiting for somebody is foreign to a man. So consequently, we have so many people that will engage in sex, have a baby, and don't understand the consequences for they're thinking about themselves. There's a lot of consequences for the child when the father is not in. The father had no intention of being there from probably from the beginning that they had sex, but the woman had the intention of the man because they're just on different pages,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
But if the father is absent, but you got to ask, why is the father absent? There's a father absent because of him, as a father absent because of the woman. You really, this whole notion of just freely having sex, and I do a parenting class, so I probably know more about what people engage in than I probably should, but then I probably want to know. If I'll put it that way. And so sometimes people will say, "Well, I met him last night," and then one girl had to hunt down the guy, find the guy, get a PI to find the guy that she slept with.
Why?
You got to value.
Why?
You
Why
got to
she hired?
value.
Why would she hire a PI to find the guy she slept with? Oh, because she became pregnant.
She didn't know. She didn't know his name.
Oh wow.
Yeah. See, these. That's an extreme, but these are the things that we are allowed to go on. There's sacredness. There's sex is a sacred thing, and nobody. And so we don't make it sacred. So now we got second, third, fourth graders engaging in things in the bathroom. I was in school, and the parent had to be called because you're in the fifth grade and you having oral sex. What kind of sense does that make?
Yeah, but if
And
it's a
so,
kid at that age, what do you think it comes from? Because everything is so free now. We got the internet. You can Google and Google oral sex, and you can see what it is. So a kid gonna go to school and they're gonna try it. Everything is so out there in the open, and we have
yeah,
now
but you
they have institutionalized sex work. So it's becoming normal to just do that. When you can go and clock in and have sex, get your paycheck and go home, that creates a normalcy around what sex really is and the things about sex, the sexual different ways to have all of that because it's so easy to see. You can just go on Twitter and see that.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing I want to say to you. We always talking about the normalization of things, and who makes that normal?
Mm.
Who makes it normal? We do. And so if you're saying to your kid, do not take your phone to your bedroom at night, leave your phone on the table. You know, when you can set a tone, kids are kids, so they're not going to do everything you say, but you can set a tone at some point in time where the kids start respecting that. We make things normal. We buy clothes. I was at school the other at a middle school. the kid had on a spaghetti strap t-shirt, her belly just above her belly button, and a pair of hot pants, we used to call them.
Now they
And
call them booty shorts.
and and so and she didn't know that I was coming, and she just strolling across, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know. But see, we accept inappropriate things from our kids because it'll make our kids popular. It'll make our kids likable. But you know what you're doing is you're creating insecurity within your kids.
Yes.
You're creating, and so you have to create some pattern. I don't believe, everybody have to learn some things. Not some of these things that I've learned over time. But I think that there's a lot of things that go on. We have a lot of people living together, but we tell our kids not to have sex. Where the kids learn their example from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
If we tell our kids, and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people just think cursing is just something you accept. And so now that's the way our kids communicate. They communicate to adults like that. They communicate to classmates like that because we have set the tone that this is what it is. Now, all I'm saying to you, if we want to change, people got to talk about change.
That's right.
I mean, we don't talk about what we need to change in our community. We can't continue to walk down this path and think that we're going to be successful and our children are going to be successful. We can't do that.
That's right. It's so funny right now, Ms. Watson. Everybody's chiming in. I mean, the sex part probably really got everybody. So, one lady, Miss Leah Murray Six, she says, then a woman is called a H. A woman is called a H for the things that they do, but a man seems to be able to get by on that. And then someone else says, hip hop music is the most direct way to target kids. And so the music is doing it, the magazines are doing it, the television shows are doing it. We're doing it in our conversations. So how do you escape that? Like, it's everywhere.
Well, all those things that you name are controlled by us.
That's right.
We don't purchase it, they don't move. We don't accept it, it doesn't move. I'm telling you. I remember I drive a Mustang, right? So I try to keep abreast with the new stuff that's coming out. I've had one since I was 16. So and so they created a car, don't remember the name, a few years back, didn't move. They got rid of it.
Mm.
People weren't buying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. If hip hop, to me, I think it is the one where we allow them to call people named, the B's and the W's and
you
all
can
those
say
things.
it, Mama. I saw you about to say it. You was about to say that B word. I saw it.
I don't know if I've ever said the B word.
Wow, amazing.
No, I don't think I ever have. I just never liked it. There's a few words that I just think are just profoundly bad.
Okay.
And you have to keep in mind, I have 6 kids, and so me setting an example for my children is absolutely a must. Even as a grown, even all my kids are grown, I still have a certain requirements of behavior and acceptance that I have to do. Right. You never get rid of your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you think that these industries would not promote that if we didn't buy it.
Right.
We ridicule our own people and they promote that. And then we buy into it. And then we use the language and then we diminish our own people. And so if we don't get rid of that, so it's nothing wrong with them trying to push their product. They push it, you don't have to buy it. That's where the problem comes. Where are the Black people? And then the woman that asked you, the young lady that asked you about, there's difference in everything. In male, female, there's a difference in clothes, difference in everything. There's men, when you try to, when she asked about men not call that, men, I think it's wrong for everybody, first of all, but by far I believe that men are more sexual than women. They take something away from it that women do not, that tend to stay with women.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference in the way men and women engage in sex. And
Mm.
so
So
and
see,
so if you try to make men be the same, then you hear people talk about, when women do this, they're H, and when men do it, they're not called that. Their engagement, I'm not sanctioning neither one of them, but their engagement and how they perceive it is different from each other. Clearly, men and women do not think alike,
mm.
and people got to know that. If they don't believe it,
Now
try to tell the
that
woman to try to navigate through the man's head.
well,
So
there's a lot of women that feel like they can think just like a man, and vice versa. But someone else asked too, why are the new women in hip hop misguiding our daughters?
well, I will say that it's the money is the
Yeah.
driver.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that we will accept when we accept that they will continue on that path. They will make album after record after record after record. And so it's, if you can get people to see that it's profoundly impacting our community, then you will see the decrease, and you see people put on more clothes and more sophistication. And I tell the girls in my that I've worked with, every girl, just based on the fact that they were born, would be a girl, and every girl would be a woman at
Mm.
some point, but not every woman would be a lady. You have to decide what route you're going to take.
I know that's right. That is good. So with all this knowledge, a wealth of knowledge, and you seem to have a great perspective on where we should be as a people. Um,
Well, believe me, I do not know. I'm in a
well,
learning stage. I
wait,
wish I did know.
well, I think your perspective is good. I think your perspective on things is good. Just like you have to learn. Everyone has different opinions about different things, and I think there's a general consensus of where everything is accepted, but how do we do everything in balance? And I think that sometimes we go from one extreme to the next. I've learned a lot of different things when I grew up and left home. I learned things that my mom wasn't able to teach me. So I think a lot of people are either caught in the process or they just want to go on their own perspective. So you, as who you are, decided to put it in a book, and put it in a book that
Hmm.
targets young kids so that they can have something to grow up with. And I think that's what we're missing. I think, and that's why it's a great job that you've done that. And I hope to read your book. I read the passages and everything. And I think it's very interesting. So I'm telling everyone out there to go and check the book out. Could you hold it up again for them?
Yes.
See, Black Tech. So let me ask you, what made you title that the way you did? Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, past, present, and future.
Well, because there's things that people actually forget the fact that when we came over here as slaves, we came as doctors, lawyers. We had skills. We had our own language. When people say that um, we we didn't understand the language, we couldn't read, that's not true. We couldn't read English, but we were reading where we came from. So
Mhm.
if you just pass on the passage that we couldn't read, it sounds really like, whoa, these are savages. No, they're not. Because we could read our language before we came over here, so we brought so much with us. And Black Tech, the book is written so that the children would pick it up, the parents will see it. And if you notice in the book, it has everything to do with technology. We have this security system, we have the camera, we have the mechanical and electrical engineer. These are technology. We have the cell phone. And so everything in there a child can relate to. But every passage in the book, what happens is that when you pick it up, the adults will learn something about the great things the African Americans have done in order to for this country. And it's often told in stories that we would have lost World War II if it had not been for the World War One, if it had not been for the cotton picked by black people.
Mm.
And so, and they had to create a financial institution in that. This is why I think that here we are, we're dismantled in what we do. Right now, there's a digital market being created, and they're naming these different markets of the digital thing, but you don't see any black names in it. So they
Mm.
have some of the institution that's creating and doing the research for this. Where are the black people that created some of the financial things? So like Hoover. I mean, I don't really see him as you know as a person that did something profound for
Mhm.
the financial institution, or a Lincoln, or people that's on the currency. And so I think that things get by us because we paying attention to surface things.
Right.
You know,
Surface
yeah.
things. Good point. Good point. I think too we have to understand our value. I think we have to understand our value, and I don't think we do. I just don't think we do as a people. I'm working on trying to understand why that is. I wish we knew better about what our value is, how our value has been put into place or taken from us. I wish we knew more about that. But so many people are running around doing what they think is, I guess, what they think is. I don't even know if they think it's the right thing. I think we're just doing. So a lot of us we run around like puppets.
But you really do have to. What happened is that we don't have any controlling factor in the financial way. And so people can actually control us financially, um, because they controls the dollar. And so it's very important that we own nothing. I don't think we own absolutely no manufacturing, nothing. And so when you're sustainable, like, some of these other places that we were at one point, even in New Jersey, I learned this. It's called in New Jersey had its own township, by the way.
Mhm.
I had started writing about it, but I can't, it's quite something. But anyway, 200 acres they started out with, but we own nothing. So everybody controls us because
Mm.
we don't pull together. We $1 trillion industry, but we don't spend money so that we can build. We don't teach our kids how to save money. We don't teach our kids that we go shopping. That doesn't mean you need to stop in the food court and spend $15.
You
You
know,
know,
it seems
and
like
at
it's
$15, you could show that you. What you do is you say, okay, we won't spend $15. We're gonna go home and we will make a salad or whatever you're gonna eat, and say, I'm gonna take the $15, put it in your account, and let the kid watch the money grow
mm,
from a very young age. There's
mm,
some things that we have to do. We have to start owning something.
yes.
We don't own anything. Consequently, I think that's one of the major reasons why we try to appeal to the other people, opposed
Yeah,
to
but
doing things on our own.
that's not gonna help you own anything. It's so funny. You remind me of a friend of mine, Kimberly Latrice Jones. Shout out to her. She made such a very moving statement that went viral some years ago when they were having all the riots. You say we don't own anything. What I don't
Mm-mm.
understand is we continue to talk about this. We continue to say the same things you're saying, but yet we do nothing about it. So my thing is, how do we get us to do something about it? Every time we do something, I noticed in the past from New York to I think down in Florida, even here in Georgia, Lake Lanier, they come and they either drop bombs on us or they kind of get into the structure of the economic system and they ruin that for us. They create a way where we can't buy houses in certain areas, all that, but we still allow it. There's enough black people that I think are successful, financially wealthy enough to pour back into. What is it that make us not pour back into ourselves?
Well, I don't know what that issue is from a financial way, but I think that when I think about it, a lot of times it's distrust. And so
Mm,
you see, this happened in Georgia, by the way. We had a young man in Georgia to graduate from Harvard with a MBA, strong financial degree, financial background, and people poured their money into his institution. into his company, and he was just becoming elaborate in his spending, buying yachts and doing all these things with other people's money. And so, of course, that's done on the white people side and everything, but
Right.
it's not portrayed in the same way because we do have less money. And so, and so black people immediately, we're just like the white people. Black people do something, you can everybody.
That's right.
Everybody black in that way is bad. But those things are real things when you're trying to save your money and grow your money. When somebody actually, and this is not just finance, it's other things that you do. Other teachers sometimes ridicule your kids in a way. And then we have parents that will, it's hard to grow when you're not growing young. We have parents that allow their kids to do certain things. No kid should go to school and not have basic manners like thank you, please, yes, deal. They shouldn't go to school, but parents train them. And I see parents laughing at their kids because they told somebody to shut the F up.
Whoa.
And they just thought that was funny,
Wow. But the one thing I do notice, and I'm gonna say this and hope I don't get a lot of backlash from it, but I do notice this. I try to support, you know, us, the black, everything, however you want to say it. But what I notice, there's a level of quality that lacks when we as a race do something as opposed to other races. A lack of customer service, a lack of respect for each other. And I think that's the thing that keeps the successful blacks away from pouring back in, because how come I can go to this culture or this race and I can get a product for a certain amount, but then when I come to my own, it's 5 times higher, 80 times less quality. That's a problem too. Why we don't see value and quality in our even in our work, or we can't make it.
Well, I think that's a generic, because sometimes, and now I will say that, I'm in Philadelphia now, but I will say that I do see it more prevalent there, in some of the places. And then we allow we allow other ethnic groups to come in. You can go into one of those, like 7-Eleven stores in the communities run by other groups. It's not clean, none of that.
True.
But that same person that owns a store downtown is very clean and thorough and stuff. But we begin to accept things as they are. And this is something that I've talked to my son-in-law about having our black community stores have belong to an organization that judges them, that insists on them keeping clean, learning them how to communicate effectively. Because it's more than just getting up and taking somebody's money. You have to have that long-time relationship and that communication and professionalism.
True.
And people have said that was an issue in our community. But I will warn you that there are plenty of black people that have places and do it. It is immaculate. In fact, my daughter now owns a European Wax Center in Snellville.
Oh wow!
You cannot go in there and not see cleanliness.
Well, shout out your company here in Snellville. What's the name of it?
It's the European Wax Center in Snellville on Scenic Highway.
So how much that cost? Scenic Highway is around the corner from the studio. I know. So how much that cost? No.
Well, your first visit, you get a bunch of free stuff. You can get an eyebrow.
Oh wow.
Your
okay.
Backs, your underarms, a bikini line. Your first service is free. Otherwise, you get a Brazilian. Your first time is off, but it's normally $60.
Wow. Okay. See, I don't know about that. I don't know how much the cost. I'm not getting Brazilian waxes, but I do know that black businesses need to be supported, and I think we should know about it. And let me ask you this though: why is it in Snellville?
Well, like I said, I have 6 kids.
Okay.
They have plenty in Atlanta, but my daughters, they were living in New York, and they says I do have another daughter here, and so I have two daughters here, and they came down and they looked and this. Had research done the most feasible place to do it,
Yeah.
and that's what they chose was
Yeah.
Snellville. So
But you
that
know,
was pretty interesting.
people don't think it's black people in Snellville, but it's a lot. So I get it.
It is.
You know, when black
Well,
people think of Georgia, they think of Atlanta, and they're thinking of, which is now not even as black anymore, downtown. Even the whole area, the MLK area, is not predominantly black. You know, so
well, what I will say, I don't know the population, but the planning, whoever doing planning for that town, there's no way that those that main, I think it's 78 or 124, it's always congested.
yes.
It's just, it's too much traffic. They did not plan well. That's my only beef with Snellville. Because I live in a what they call the suburbs. You get a little bit more space for your money. But that's why I'm
I
here
know that's
anyway.
right.
Yeah, I'm here a lot.
Well, I'm
Actually.
glad you're in Atlanta. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I think we need to have more conversations like this. And I want to shout out to Double Exposure, Mr. Ellaby, and Kevin Goins at New Grooves, because they told me about you a while back, so I thought it was very interesting that a black woman, it reminds me of my mom, is out there doing that kind of stuff. So I wanted to sit and talk to you, and it seemed like everybody loved the conversation. They love what you're talking about. I want you to tell them where they can get your book one more time so that we can end with that and know exactly what to look for.
Well, you can go to Synergy Network, LLC.com, and you can purchase the book. And if you're going to make a donation, that means buy a book for a child. Some people will actually purchase a book. I try to get corporations to purchase my book, and so I can donate it to kids that live in the urban and rural communities. You can go purchase a book at synergytrainingsolution.org, and you could purchase a book and donate a book at this. Otherwise, you can get it on Amazon.
I like how you did that. You made sure you circumvented where you can get the book from. And then if you don't do that, you can get it on Amazon. Because, I like how you did that. That's great. Well, Miss Theresa Merritt-Watson, go ahead. Go for it.
I want to say one more thing.
Sure.
There's training that we do that I'm a part of. I'm part of a group that works on 3 P's: passion, pursuit, and purpose. And they impact the kids' mental health, their academic performance, and those, because our kids do have passion that we need to nurture.
Mm-hmm.
And we teach the kids and I should say students, how to pursue it. And in the bigger scheme of things, they learn their passion. And so I also do the parent training. So those are things that I work with, and I love talking about this all the time, because it's just so refreshing to know that you're going to see our people grow and get back, at least get some of the components that we had back in the day when we really was moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
I appreciate that. Passion preparation. I love it. So I want to say thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation again. Hopefully, maybe we can talk again a while and see how this works. And you have a new book that's getting ready to come out too. So we can definitely talk about that. But I just wanted to thank everybody for joining in. My name is Kevin Bryan. Yes, Kevin said it. I said the things you think about, but apparently Miss Theresa Watson, she said a lot of things that we need to think about. So Black people and everybody else. So help us out. Go get the book. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for joining in. Shout out to Double Exposure. Shout out to everyone here over at KRE and 1 Degree Studios. Dr. P, thank you. Hey, y'all have a good day. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you. Peace.